Hello, welcome viewers. I am Dr. Ashok Kumar, Assistant Professor in the area of Marketing and Strategy. And today we are going to have a discussion on a very interesting topic, communication skills, which is part of your MMPM02 Block 2 Unit 4 course. So now let's proceed with a very dynamic topic like communication. And as I have told you already in my last few sessions, I think a salesperson strives to achieve the best possible communication skill because that is the only way in which he is going to impact his customers. And firms nowadays are aggressively spending millions of rupees or millions of dollars, you can say, on developing the communication skills of the salesperson because they have realized of late that this is the only skill that is really going to be enticing the customer. And the customer, when he is really convinced about the communication that is being done by the salesperson, is ultimately going to be converted into a really true customer. So let us understand why this so much emphasis on communication skills. There is an old adage in Hindi, they say that jo dikhta hai, wo bikta hai. In English, they say that the one who is visible is the one who is going to be selling itself. So let's be visible. And how do you really become visible? You are going to be telling the story about your product, telling the story about your services to your customers so that you are going to be really able to create a good customer base. So let's try and go deep into the topic, understand why communication is so important, how does it help a firm to get customers, whether selling really depends on communication skills or not, to what extent communication can really help a firm to grow. These are all pertinent questions which I will try to answer in the next 55 minutes or 1 hour time. So communication, as you understand, if you really go by the definition of it, this is a Latin word which is originating from the word commune. It signifies the sharing of common elements. And if you go by the definition of Keith Davis, who is a very famous management thought leader, he defines communication as the transfer of information and understanding between individuals, serving as a means to convey facts, ideas, thoughts, and values. In the realm of business, because we are going to be doing business communication, especially in marketing, effective communication is crucial. It's not only crucial, the entire firm's success or failure depends on how fluently the communication is being done by its own salespeople. This also involves informing the target customer about the firm's products and services. You are telling to the world, declaring to the world, so to say, that this is me, I do this kind of business and these are my offerings to you, these are my range of products and services, and you are not really going to be telling it in a style which is really going to be offending to the customer, rather it should be enticing to the customer. So the benefit, you are going to be talking about the benefit of the product and services. You are also going to be informing the customer regarding what use the product or service person can have, its features. You are going to be more detailed into what the product really represents or what it really stands for. The pricing part of it, which is pretty much dear to the heart of many Indian customers, and of course, whether you are available or not, and if you are available, where are you available? Marketing communication encompasses two key aspects: determining the message and selecting appropriate delivery methods. Message determination is crucial, and what is even more crucial to my mind is how do you choose or select the appropriate delivery methods. Why this is important? Because you might be really choosing a kind of a delivery mechanism which is not really appreciated by the customer, which really is not being used by the customer. So let's talk about the today's young generation of customers. They are too much heavily into mobile phones and it's multiple uses and all. That is what they're obsessed with. Now probably there is a slight kind of digression from the TV watching habit of people towards spending their screen time on a mobile phone. So when you observe that this is the trend happening or this is the new trend that is unfolding, then you have got to really try and switch your communication media from the traditional print and hoardings and boardings and TV and radio and all, probably more predominantly to mobile phones and all. So this makes the job of the media's person or the person who is going to be selecting the media in which the advertisement needs to be done has to really be appreciated by the top management. The type of message conveyed depends on marketing objectives, which may include increasing product awareness. Sometimes you are just trying to inform the customer regarding the product. The customer is not aware whether you are existing in the market or not. You are trying to make him aware, look, this is who am I and this is what my products are all about and this is where I'm really available and all. And of course, you can go beyond product awareness. You can go deep into expanding the customer base or even achieving the sales growth. How do you expand the customer base? Likely the number of customers are going to be on the rise, the more likely it is going to be having a positive impact on the sales. This is a pretty simple equation. More customers are being aware about your products, more customers are being aware about your services, more customers are more prone to use your product than if it is limited to a few number of customers or a very restrictive appeal that your product is having. Okay. Different objectives necessitate distinct messages and modes of communication delivery. If your message is pretty clear and you are very sure in your head that this is what my message really intends to do, so you have got to really try to find out, well, what is the best possible kind of a media or a media vehicle which is going to be taking my product to my desired customers. So you have got a specific objective, and that specific objective is going to be taking the shape of a specific message. For example, you are just trying to launch an entirely new product in a completely new market. The market is unknown to you. You are unknown to the market. The product is unknown to the market, and the market really doesn't understand anything about you at all. In that sense, you are trying to do a two-pronged strategy. What you're trying to do is you are trying to communicate to your customers, look, this is my company and I am present in XYZ country or ABC kind of a place, and these are my kind of products that I'm trying to launch in your place. So that is having a different objective. Just think for a moment that you are trying to do something different. For example, you are trying to tell the various uses that the product can really have for the customers. So your message, your tone, your pitch, your voice is going to be totally different, because you are not simply informing the customers or making aware the customers. You are trying to help them understand that this is the reason for which the product is really going to be doing good for you. So channels such as TV advertisements, print and social media, they are nowadays commonly employed. I think there is a more kind of inclination towards social media nowadays because of the rampant use that the social media is having with the modern day young people. Why young? Even elderly people are also too much engrossed into them. Personal selling, like I have told you many times, is a unique mode. It distinguishes itself from mass communication methods like TV ads in several ways, because here is a person who is employed primarily to try and take your product's message directly to the customer face to face kind of a style. And I have also told you in the last session, if you recollect well, that human beings are going to be responding more to emotions than any impersonal advertisement done through any kind of impersonal medias, be it your TV or be it your print, or even to some extent the latest to join the bandwagon, the digital platform. So you are going to be enabling immediate customer responses. You are going to be targeting specific audiences, and it proves effective in both business to consumer and business to business scenario. Be it your B2C or be it your B2B, in both the scenarios, personal selling is really going to be playing a very important role, and well beyond the role that possibly can TV and other modes of advertisement can probably do. And of course, if it is a D2C, like a direct to customer kind of a scenario, then probably personal selling even assumes more significance. The evolving landscape of social commerce also embraces personal selling as a strategy to engage with customers. So whether you talk about B2B or you talk about B2C or you talk about D2C, and the social commerce world that is also emerging, that is also going to be very highly benefited by the use of personal selling as a method. So let us understand how the entire process of communication really takes place. As you might have really been told by different sources, communication is basically the exchange of information between two parties, initiated by a source or communicator and completed when the receiver understands the message. As simple as that. The communication process consists of 8 elements. You have got source, you have got message, you have got channel, you have got a receiver, you have got feedback, you have got environment, and of course the context. So let's understand how the entire communication process really takes place. Source. Source is the originator of the communication. Who is going to be originating the communication? In the case of a sales, event or a sales kind of an activity, the communication either starts from the salesperson who is really in the field, or the communication starts from the company who might be using different kind of media that I already talked about. Okay, so this source is responsible for creating and sending the message. You create the message as the source, and you of course choose that this is the way, or this is the media through which the message has to got to be sent. Source credibility is crucial. Who is saying in marketing, who is telling me things, that is more important, because I understand that someone who is really trying to sell a product or market a kind of a product or a service is of course going to be telling all the positive, nice, goody things about the company and the product and the service. But I must understand the person who is telling me all this is having immense credibility. If I trust the person who is telling me stuff, I will be more likely to believe him and believe the product and believe the kind of offerings. Otherwise, I will be really kind of raising my eyebrows. Look, I don't believe who this guy is, and I don't really trust whatever might be really coming out of him. And different sources may have varying levels of credibility depending on the context. Generally, in India, we trust a newspaper to be really carrying the most authentic advertisements, because although they nowadays write that this is a sponsored kind of a stuff, or this is an advertorial, whatever may be the pretext in which they are really trying to be releasing the advertisement, but the trustworthiness of a newspaper, your daily morning newspaper, is probably the highest in a quarter like ours. So probably you are better off in trying to be releasing an advertisement in a source which has got immense credibility to begin with. Then comes the most important thing, the message. The stimulus or the meaning produced by the source for the receiver, that is the message. What exactly are you trying to tell? It includes both the content and the way it is communicated. Content is important. I think in today's world, the way the content is being communicated to the customers is even assuming more significance, for the very simple reason that the attention span of today's customers is very small, very less, so to say, right? When people are not ready to listen, then more than the content, of course, content comes as a pretty close to the way it is being communicated. I think the manner or the style or the way it is being communicated, that really attracts the attention of the customer and probably helps you to really think next, think further. Considering factors like tone, body language, and environmental noise. What is the body language that you are trying to demonstrate to your customer bases? Are you sounding authoritative? Are you sounding positive? Are you sounding good enough to really try to communicate things to your customer? Because the customer is not listening to your words only, he is also trying to deep within his psychology, trying to judge you as a human being, as a person, whether the body language that you display shows confidence or not. Does it show arrogance? Does it show, look, I don't care, I have been told to talk to you people like this, and I've been paid for that, so that's what I'm doing. This really doesn't have any kind of positive rub off on the customers. Third is the channel, the medium through which messages travel between the source and the receiver. Channels might be oral, face-to-face, speeches, telephone, can be written like letters, emails, blogs, or it can be synchronization of audio and visual aspects, which is essential for effective communication. Whether you are doing oral communication or you are doing written communication, I think everything depends on the channel that you are trying to be taking the help of. In oral communication, people listen and forget. In written communication, people may not really have the time to really go through your lengthy messages at all. But if it is short and crisp, like a short letter maybe, or a short email maybe, or even a pretty small blog also, that really reaches your target audience and really sensitizes them to what exactly you are trying to communicate to your target audience. The number 4 thing, which is very crucial in today's impatient world, is the receiver, the party that receives, analyzes, and interprets the message. Who is listening to you? Have you chosen your customers, or the customers are listening to you at random? If they are not the chosen few, if they are not a targeted customer of yours, then probably you are really wasting your time and energy and money on the wrong kind of receivers. Non-verbal responses and feedback from the receiver provide cues for the success of communication, and understanding the receiver is vital for effectiveness. What is a non-verbal response and feedback? See, your body language, the way you look at the person who is trying to tell you things, the way you will respond to him, the eyebrows are being raised, the body language is totally kind of skeptical regarding the message that you're listening to from the person. If that is the case, the non-verbal responses are probably more authentic, more instantaneous than the verbal responses, because in verbal responses you are thinking, you are phrasing your words, you are trying to take a kind of shelter in a very few kind of diplomatic words maybe. Okay, so if it is your non-verbal response, then as a kind of a source or as a kind of sender of a message, you have got to understand that the non-verbal responses tell more than the verbal responses. Feedback, the last among the lot, is the response from the receiver to the source, indicating how well the message was received. Feedback helps the source understand the impact and accuracy of the communication. Impact and accuracy. Whether you have said and they have listened, and you have forgotten and they have forgotten. If this is the case, then there is no impact or zero impact, you can say. Okay. If the feedback is positive, is constructive, is really very much, kind of encouraging, then probably you can understand, yes, the impact is positive, and this really gives you a further cue regarding how next I should be really proceeding this particular kind of communication that I plan to do. Okay. Environment can be another thing, like the physical or the psychological atmosphere where communication takes place. What is that physical atmosphere? Are you sitting in a 46 degrees Celsius kind of atmosphere under the sun? Are you listening to some kind of stuff being dished out by a company where you are feeling absolutely uncomfortable? Is your physical atmosphere really good enough, positive enough, supportive enough, or not? Okay, the room setup, the lighting, the dress code, that also influence your communication process. Hard to believe, but yeah, your dress code also influences the customer, because are they going to take you seriously or not? They're going to be judging you from the dress that you really wear. Are they really going to take you seriously or not? They're also going to be judging you from your body language and the customer's environment, which is also going to be pretty decisive. The context in which you are telling the things. I think the entire communication process boils down to context only. The setting, the scene, the expectations, the objectives of the communication interaction, everything is very much context specific. Environmental cues shape expectations, and context influences language and behavior in a professional communication setting. Are you gathering to listen to some kind of a star coming to really try to promote a product or launch a new product? That is a context. You understand that this is the purpose for which this atmosphere is being created. This is the purpose for which this number of people have really gathered. So there is no kind of running away from the fact that you have genuinely kind of with all your understanding come to this place to listen about a new product being launched. There is no harm in admitting it. So that is the context in which the entire sales communication really takes place. In the marketing domain, communication plays a vital role in persuading customers. I think if you really go and talk to a salesperson who is really sweating it out, and he really meets a number of customers on a given day, he will tell you how difficult it is to persuade a customer into his way of thinking. The customer is an unknown entity for you, a total complete stranger for you. Why should he listen to you? Why should he really care to try to understand what exactly are you trying to communicate? He is in a mad rush. He doesn't have any kind of intention to stop and listen to you. So you have got to be really sounding pretty nice and gentle and sweet and good enough, so that the customer really is off for some kind of persuasion. If you can persuade a customer by your own words, probably that is indication one, that yes, here is the chance that the customer might go the whole hog and try to become a customer of mine. You are also trying to be communicating about the product or increasing product awareness, as they say in marketing, and you are also maintaining customer relationships. Customer relationship has been debated, discussed, disseminated, and understood, misunderstood, interpreted, misinterpreted in different ways by different kind of people. What is the need of customer relationship and how sales communication really helps in building customer relationship? I think most of the customer relationship guys will tell you that communication is the only way, the best possible way in which a customer can be retained. If you understand the customer's specific requirements and you really take that extra step forward, that one more step forward to really try to feel and think and understand the way the customer is thinking and feeling and understanding about your product and services, I think the job is done. So communication objectives in marketing promotion, if you talk about that, you have got two ways in which to understand what exactly the marketing promotion is really trying to accomplish as a communication objective. You have got two models. I should be really trying to throw some light on that. One very famous model that we all talk about is your AIDA model. Very popularly, it is known as AIDA model. Your attention, interest, desire, and action. This guides marketers to gain attention, create interest, inspire desire, and prompt action for product adoption. Now, how do you really get that attention? Why should someone give you attention? Why should you really be feeling that, yes, I am good enough to create interest in my product? How can you inspire desire in other customers? And of course, how do you really go and close that or prompt action for product adoption? I think if you really understand the psyche of an individual customer, you'll understand that he is not really ready to listen to you unless he is really coaxed and cajoled and kind of treated well. So how do you do it? You can do it, kind of the cuff to begin with. You can do it with very smart, very genuine, very concerned kind of communication. I said genuine and concerned. Genuineness is something which is really visible. Genuineness is something which you cannot really pretend to have. People can really figure it out from your body language, whether you are sounding genuine or you are sounding not. Okay. So apart from this AIDA model where you talk about attention, interest, desire, and action, I think more important to understand is that these are not just figment of imagination of some kind of theorist. This is actually proven and proven scientifically in the real market, where the customer, if he really gets across the attention stage and the marketer is still insisting on the customer to really try to make him listen more to him, probably can create interest in the customer only by using very smart, effective communication. There is no denying that. And great salespeople, what they do is they inspire desire. They are going to make the customer feel as if their life is incomplete if they do not have the product, rather than you trying to go about selling the product or putting it down his throat. You don't have to do it. If the desire is being inspired, then the customer is automatically going to be longing to hold your product, longing to purchase your product, longing to purchase your product. And there is another nice model, we call it as hierarchy of effects model. So your buyer's purchase decision follows steps such as conviction, preference, liking, knowledge, and awareness. Now, what is conviction? I, as a customer, do have multiple choices. I have multiple options available readily in the market. Why should I stop at you? Give me three reasons. Give me one single big important reason for believing in you, for being convinced about what a product really promises and what it really can possibly deliver. Believe me, the conviction is only springing from the fact that your promise and your deliver has got no gap at all. If there is no gap between what you promise and what you deliver, conviction is automatically going to really follow. That you don't have to really do any kind of miracle on that. You have got to really make the customer realize one thing, that what I tell you and what I give you, it's like tell and give. You tell and you give. You keep your promises, and kind of the customer is going to be really moving, revolving around you. So your conviction really leads the customer to the next stage, that is preference. If the customer is convinced, he shows preference to your product over the other products available in the market. And probably I'm not wrong if I say that there is not a single industry in India, there is not a single company in India, or there is not a single product in India which doesn't have competing products available plentifully that too in the market. So in order to generate preference for your product, you have got to really go and take that extra step. What is that extra step? Your communication. So preference leads to liking. So once preference is being, kind of taken care of, then the customer is really going to be starting to like your product. Why should he like? Because he feels that this is the best product that my money can buy. As simple as that. So when he feels that this is the best product that the money can buy, then it takes an automatic liking towards your product. Probably the half of the battle is over there. Then of course the knowledge part and the awareness part. Okay, so he has got plenty of knowledge regarding the product, and he's aware that yes, here is a product that is really good enough for me. So if you really go and judge various promotional tools, they all correspond to different stages in this particular model. Some are provoking you for conviction, some are trying to initiate you into preference, some are helping you to become take a strong liking for the product, some are trying to make you knowledgeable about the product, and some are simply trying to create awareness of the product. Be that as it may be, but the fact is you have got to really try to take the customer in a kind of hierarchical effects model: awareness, knowledge, liking, preference, and conviction. Okay. Now, the next point that I want to raise is regarding the communication objectives in sales. More specifically, the topic that we are dealing with is how exactly the communication is really going to be having an impact if the sales is really going to be the priority for the organization. Sales calls usually involve 5 steps: opening, investigating needs, giving benefits, objection handling, and closing techniques. Opening. This is pretty interesting. If someone out there who is listening to me is really into sales, then you will understand this, what opening is. How do you open a conversation? How do you really initiate a conversation with someone? How do you really understand that probably this is my prospective customer? How do you open a kind of conversation? You don't automatically go and tell, look, I am so and so coming from company XYZ and I am trying to sell you product ABC. He says, who the hell? I don't just care to listen to whatever you have got to tell. So maybe you are going to be starting with some small talks. Like I told you probably in few of my last sessions, maybe you are trying to engage the customer, engage the prospective customer into a discussion related to a common habit, a common hobby. Maybe in India, generally we talk about weather, cricket, movies, politics, stuff like that. Or even you can really try to talk about some kind of burning issues or some kind of issues which are really being debated all across the globe. So that shows that you are trying to be persuading the customer sitting in front of you to listen to you more often. Okay, now what exactly are you trying to do is, by that kind of a surreal conversation, you are trying to investigate the needs. What exactly is the need of this particular person? Okay, and of course, you are also trying to be understanding the fact that you are not going to be simply trying to be investigating the needs and stop at that. You are going to be giving benefits to the customers. These are my tangible and intangible benefits that my company or my product or I as an individual salesperson can possibly promise you to give. That is what is really also important to understand. And of course, the objection handling and the closing technique. Like I told you probably yesterday, if a customer is more intent on buying your product, more serious on buying your product, he is going to be raising objections. He is going to be really trying to ask you questions. This is a clear case of a customer really going beyond just being a passive listener to an active, aggressive kind of a person who can possibly go and purchase the product. So handle the objections well. That is pretty good. And objection handling can be done, or should be done rather, I would say, in a most polite and decent way. You can't be really pretty sounding like a ruffian to a customer who raises pretty uncomfortable questions for you. You can't really take pride in a company so much that you are not ready to accept, yeah, my product can really have some kind of flaws. I do admit it. Fine, that there is no product, there is no company in the world which is completely flawless, and so is my product, so is my company. As simple as that. And of course, after the objections have been handled, doesn't really stop at that. It goes to the next and the last stage where you are going to be closing the sale. Unless the sale is being closed, you are not really going to be counting on it. Okay. Effective communication in sales involves establishing credibility, through expertise and relationships. Like I told you, you have got to be selling multiple products from multiple industries by multiple companies. If you are particularly interested in selling an industrial good or an industrial product or some kind of technical product in the sense they are highly technical in nature, where really you don't really go and talk to any Tom, Dick, Harry and tell him, look, this is my product and this is what my product can do to your skin, to your hairstyle. No, you are not really trying to be telling in that kind of a very foolish superficial way. You are trying to tell the customer, well, this is a product which is really innovative, this is a product which is really designed with these kind of specifications, where your expertise is really coming to the fore. And of course, more than expertise, I think what really matters in a country like ours, India, is the relationships. Have you really been able to strike a good, positive, vibrant relationship with your client, with your customer, or not? If that is being done, probably you have achieved whatever needs to be achieved in sales, because people are automatically going to be remembering you because you have got some kind of emotional linkages with your customers. Framing goals to identify common ground, reinforcing positions with vivid language and evidence, and emotionally connecting with the audience. Like I told you, emotional connect with the audience really gives you a better reward than going by logic, arguments, facts, figure, and data. Fact, figure, data, logic, rationality, they can all take you to a particular place, to a particular extent. Beyond that, it really requires understanding the emotion of the other person sitting in front of you. Persuasion in sales, on the other hand, requires presenting evidence. How do you present evidence? By using language effectively, supplementing numerical data with examples and stories, and acknowledging the role of emotions in decision making. Demonstrating emotional commitment enhances persuasiveness in sales communication. Persuasion is the most challenging, the most difficult thing to really do. What it really tries to achieve is that you might just as well start with the assumption sorry, with the assumption that the customer is not ready to listen to me, and that is also true. Why should the customer really be ready to listen to you? There is no logic. Give him a reason. Tell him, look, this is what the numbers really speak. This is what is really going to the story of another person who has already purchased the product. And you have got to really acknowledge that the customer in front of me is not in the right emotional state of mind. For example, if you are going to someone who has got a kind of a death and they are mourning the death of the member in the family, and you are trying to go and sell them something like a luxury tourism package to another country, that is the most bizarre time to really try and talk about a tourism package or a tourism kind of a trip. Okay, now you have got to understand the emotional stage in which the customer of yours is in. If he's happy, he has been rewarded by his boss, he has got a promotion, he has got some bonus money and all. Now you are going to tell him, look, why don't you go for a trip to Malaysia? He might be just in a position to listen to you. So you have got to understand that your persuasion has got to again take care of the fact that I have got to understand the emotional state of mind of my customer. Personal selling, like I talked to you, goes through different channels: retail and direct to consumer. What is a retail channel? This involves salespersons interacting with customers in stores for product inquiries, known as indoor personal selling. The salesperson's focus is on facilitating customer purchases, understanding their needs, and increasing products in the customer's consideration set. The customer is always having a consideration set, which we in management language say that the customer is always having an evoked set. In the evoked set, he might just as well store three products or three services or three benefits, right? See, if you ask any individual for that matter, like, tell me all the brands of soaps available in India, he will say, look, I don't know. He should not be knowing also. What is the need of someone who is really going to make a long list of all the brands of soaps available in the whole big country of India? There is no need. He might be just making a judicious choice out of 6, 7, 8, 10 kind of products for his soap requirement. So the customer's consideration set has got to be respected. This is what the customer really moves within. This is the total complete kind of a set that he is really going to be feeling comfortable about. So that is what the retail channel has got to really promote. Then of course there is the emergence of direct to consumer kind of a channel that involves salespersons visiting potential customers at their suggested locations, whether home or office or public places, for awareness or cross-selling. Now what is your cross-selling? Cross-selling is you are trying to sell another product which is not really relevant to the earlier product that you have sold, and still you find that here is a customer who can really go and buy the both. So whether you are doing cross-selling or you are doing not, in both the cases, persuasion skills are very crucial, and communication skill sets are essential for effective personal selling, because the ability to attract customers is primarily dependent on your communication skills. The customers are absolutely not going to be caring to listen to you. Just remember one thing for eternity. The customer is not a person who has come to listen to your story. He has not come to listen to your drama. He has not come to listen to what you really try to sell. That is not his job. It is your job to go to the customer, try and tell him, look, this is what I'm trying to do. For example, direct to customer kind of companies, a growing trend which has become of late, cut out middlemen, manufacturer, and they are trying to be selling products directly to consumers, often through online platforms. That results in better prices and higher margins. D2C brands like Beowulf, Bombay Saving Company, and many others are there who are really trying to eliminate the middleman in the channel, so they are going direct to the customers. Okay, so if you really try and get focused on communication skills more specifically, communication skills I believe are crucial in retail, direct and outdoor marketing, influencing every stage of consumer persuasion. Various communication skill sets are essential for understanding, preparing, delivering, receiving, and giving feedback in the communication process. What is the requirement of understanding communication? Goals and objectives. You have got to clearly define what needs to be accomplished, impacting your communication strategy, structure, and delivery. What needs to be achieved? Why do I want to communicate? What's my goal? What's my objective? Is there a better way, or is there a different way than this? Then I can possibly go ahead and communicate. If you find that this is the only way and this is the best way, then probably you have got your goals and objectives set. So your communication is only going to be manifesting the goal and objective that has been set by the organizer. That has got to be understood. Of course, you have got to create a perception of concern. You are going to be engaging seriously and demonstrating concern for the purpose of communication. What is that serious engagement? The element of trust, the element of connectedness, the element of being part of you, or being member of your own family. So that is called serious engagement. Now you are trying to make the customer feel, look, I am no different from you. I am not here just to try and sell my products. I am part of you. I am just going to be experiencing the same kind of emotion that you also experience. I am going to be with you through your thick and thin. That is what the message has got to be like. And you are also going to be demonstrating the concern for the purpose of communication. That is also required, because concern is something which really kind of gets out of your system, and it really touches the heart and the soul of the customer sitting in front of you. And if you show genuine concerns, like I told you, you are going to be winning the heart of the customer, and that is going to be a permanent, lasting impact. How do you prepare for the communication process? Now you have got to have many different skills. You might be wondering, well, so becoming a salesperson is very tough. No, it is not very tough. Becoming a successful salesperson is very tough and very relaxing and very enjoyable at the same time as well. The kind of money that a successful salesperson makes probably cannot be matched by any other profession in any other kind of arena, in other kind of business. That is something which you all have got to realize, that your communication can really land you into a place where you might not really have thought that it is possible to reach. That is what is really going to be done. So communication process, how do you prepare for it? Your networking skills. You are going to be increasing your social net worth. who you are. Are people going to be liking you or not? Do people know you or not? Do people remember you or not? Are they respecting you or not? You have got to really try to build that social net worth of yours, establishing professional relationships. Now, what is a professional relationship? All the relationships cannot be personal, whether you like it or not. But the fact is, certain relationships they really like to remain professional relationships, and you can't really disagree more on that. And of course, more than relationships, more than your own social network, what is really going to be the clinching line for you is your display of business value. What exactly are you trying to offer to the customer? Is it really worth it? Is it really worth his time, worth his energy, worth his money or not? If you give value to the customer, he is going to be with you. As simple as that. Storytelling can be another technique. You are going to be building stories, case studies, and maybe analogies into communications for better believability and impact. People have got to have that believability in you. They should have the faith. Yes, if I am listening from Mr. X, it has got to be true. And you just can't really got represented in a plain, simple, ordinary, blunt way. You have got to really try to, kind of mold it in a way where it really sounds pretty good, sounds pretty positive, sounds pretty encouraging, sounds pretty genuine as well. So storytelling nowadays has really got the imagination of many people, many salespeople, rather I'd say many successful salespeople. Why this storytelling? Because people are more likely to relate with your kind of stories. They are going to be kind of appreciate the fact that you are one among them. That you are one among them is a nice way of building trust, building rapport, building relationships. Of course, your persuasion and your selling capabilities, like involving skills to persuade stakeholders and actively make sales related decisions. Now you have got to deliver the message. Now, how do you deliver the message? That is stage 3, face-to-face communication. That is fundamental in business settings, a face-to-face communication kind of a scenario, allowing for real-time interaction, understanding emotions, and building personal connections. Real-time interaction is so fruitful, so rewarding that you are really going to be collecting the feedback from the customer then and there. How does he respond to my kind of communication? Will he really go and say yes? Will he go and say no? That he can really figure out in pretty quick time. You can really understand the emotion of the other customer. He might be objecting to your point A, point B, but not point E and point F. If you understand that, so you are going to be clarifying his doubt on A and B without feeling offended yourself. He might be questioning the authenticity of your company. Don't take it as a personal kind of insult for you. He's just asking for it. This is the information that he doesn't have. You have got a job to really try and provide him the information. If you are concerned about the customer, the customer is also going to understand it very soon. Believe me, I can tell from my own experience, when you deal with a very difficult customer and he once is convinced, there cannot be a better loyal customer than a difficult customer to begin with. Okay, and of course you have got to build a personal kind of connections. Sometimes this really works and works miraculously well. Your speaking and your verbal skills, clear verbal communication to engage colleagues, supervisors, and customers. Your communication should be absolutely flawless. This is going to be crystal clear. This is what you mean when you talk about this, or this is what your real intent is when you're trying to tell it in this particular kind of fashion. And people are now also becoming more observant regarding your non-verbal skills. Now, what is a non-verbal skill? Your body language, your physical distance. Sometimes people like proximity. Sometimes people do not like proximity. If you go too nearer to them, they really don't like it. If you remain too away from that, they also don't like it. So you have got to really try to figure out what is the appropriate physical distance that I should be maintaining from my customer while really I'm trying to speak to him. Your tone, that is most crucial, I think. Okay, and of course your non-verbal cues to enhance your communication impact. Sometimes your tone and your body language, they are going to be really more overpowering than the spoken word itself. If you are going to be writing, like for example, you're trying to do this email marketing and stuff, or you're trying to write a blog, you are going to be utilizing specific data or specific examples in written communication for your effective discussions. That is a must. because written communication is a documented kind of kind of a proof that this is what you really try to give it to me, this is what you really promised to me, and it is well documented. So when you are trying to go for your demonstration of writing skills, please ensure that you are writing very specific, very much truth, and things where you possibly cannot back out, and there is no intention of you also to back out from what you have already communicated in a writing kind of a way. And of course, the most talked about, the most sophisticated among them, sorry, among them is your presentation skills. Presenting information attractively to captivate and motivate audience. Captivate and motivate. You draw their attention, you shield it. That's it. They are now going to be listening to you. It's like, you enter into a jungle and you see the lion roaring. When the lion roars, the other animals listen. When you are presenting, the others sitting in front of you are so captivated, so much motivated that they are going to be listening to you. That is the charisma of good, nice presentation, impactful presentation, I would say. And of course, receiving the message part of it, your listening skills. Listening attentively without preconceived bias, valuing others' opinions, and incorporating diverse views into one's communication. Sometimes it happens that we are not really good or active listeners. We listen for the sake of listening, and we are listening and we are trying to frame our own questions because we have listened too much. That is incorrect in good salesmanship kind of a lifestyle. So you have got to be a very good, engrossing kind of listener. Listen attentively without any preconceived bias. Okay, he is from this place, he has to be like that. He is from this religion, he must be like this. He is wearing this kind of dresses, he must be like this, rich or poor or whatever, right? Okay. So don't have any kind of preconceived bias against or in favor of any customer that you see. A customer is a fresh, young or old or lady or kid or what, is a fresh entity for you who doesn't have any kind of previous link with you. You are trying to understand him well. You are trying to provide him a solution for which he has come to you, and that's it. You have got to really, kind of go and stop at it. Okay. These communication skill sets are essential for effective communication in various contexts, including your social commerce, where sellers use social media platforms for direct sales, requiring fluency, product knowledge, and clear communication within limited time frames. Excuse me for 1 minute, maybe. Now let's talk about oral communication. So what is the significance of oral communication? When you speak, do others listen? That is the ultimate feedback that possibly you can have. Are they listening to you or not? Do they have any plan of not listening to you? So what is the significance of oral communication? Feedback and interaction. Oral communication allows for immediate feedback and interaction, enabling questions, testing understanding, and fostering engagement. You are enabling the people to really question you, clarify their doubts, clarify their queries and all. You can also go ahead and test their understanding. Have they really understood the things that you really wanted to convey to them? And of course, you are going to be fostering engagement. You are going to be having a session where you understand the people sitting in front of you, and the people also understand you. So that is a kind of good positive engagement between you, the audience, between you and the audience. Okay. So non-verbal cues can be another thing. So through face-to-face communication, people can observe and comprehend non-verbal cues such as facial expressions, eye contact, tone of voice, gestures, and postures. Facial expression, your face is, as the old adage goes, your face is a mirror, and mirrors don't lie. You can't really hide your feelings for too long. Your face is going to reveal it all. You yourself are happy, convinced, then the others are going to be happy and convinced. You are not convinced regarding what you are trying to express, it is never really going to be having any kind of serious positive impact on your audiences. So first thing you must really ensure is your facial expressions are correct. And of course, let me not try to belittle the importance of eye contact. See, what I observe is eye contact tells you a whole big story. If you are making strong, positive eye contact with your audiences or with your customers, they understand that this man tells and means and says the same kind of thing. You mean what you say and you say what you mean. That is going to be observed through positive eye contact. If you are not making eye contact, you are trying not to be sounding convincing. And trust me, if you yourself are not convinced, then the audience is definitely not going to be convinced. Your tone and your gesture and your posture. Many times your tone really is not really sounding like you are truly interested, you are truly engrossed into it, you truly understand and appreciate what you really are trying to tell to your audience. Your tone is really going to be making the half impact. The rest is done by your facial expressions, your eye contact, your gestures and your postures and everything. How you speak. Very nicely created or crafted kind of a voice can have positive thrilling effect on the audiences and on your customers. And the next important issue that I want to discuss with you is regarding the significance of oral communication, where we also talk about community building. Oral communication satisfies the need for community, group identity, and high morale, making people feel connected. High morale is an outcome of your good oral communication skills. What are the shortcomings or the deficiencies of oral communication? It is spontaneous. Spontaneity is a big drawback of oral communication. And if not communicated correctly, the message may not be understood. So there is no going to be, it's not going to be take two or take three for you. It is either you have really nailed it or you have really failed to nail it. As simple as that. So there is no going back or there is no kind of kind of covering up. Okay. So spontaneity is the only big reason why some really feel afraid about communicating to people, because they might just assume feel that, well, if something really slips out of me, then there is no kind of going back on this. So please be very careful when you're trying to make oral communication, because one wrong word, one false note, one false kind of a sentence can completely damage the entire positive thing that you have done, because this word is really going to be jeopardizing the entire effort of yours. Please be careful about it. What are the applications of oral communication? Interpersonal communications, that is used in interpersonal modes involving dyadic relationships, interviews, telephoning, and dictating. That is a nice application of oral communication, where you really try to go for interview and telephoning and dictating. When you're dealing with customers, you are going to give them a call over telephone and try to really find out, well, is it the right time to talk to the customer or not? Can I really proceed with the next stuff that I really want to tell? Sometimes you are not really ready to listen to telecallers. The reason is that they sound as if they don't really care about your timing. If they don't care about whether you are in the right frame of mind to listen to them or not. They just kind of start calling you as if you are all ready to listen to these kind of people. So another thing that I really want to emphasize is how important is written communication in sales. Strong written communication skills are crucial for salespeople who often need to communicate with customers and different individuals within the organization. The purpose of writing is to convey thoughts, ideas, feelings, or facts in a concrete and concise manner to facilitate reader response. Simple. You are going to be communicating with customers and various different individuals within the organization. How do you communicate? You always don't really try and take recourse to your oral communications. You are not able to convey all your thoughts, all your ideas, all your feelings, or all the facts in oral communication mode. I think for that, written communication is the best solution, because once you are going to be going for written communication, it is more authenticated and it is really going to be having the lasting impact on the person who is going to be receiving to this, because he has got a hell lot of time where he can really go back and really check and recheck and go back and kind of take his own time to read what exactly you have tried really try to convey. So what are the guidelines for effective writing? I think the number one point is be specific and provide all pertinent information accurately. If you are someone who doesn't really understand that the person sitting in front of me, or the person who's going to be listening to this or reading this, is not really going to be having all the time in the world to really go and read A to Z of it. You have got to be pretty specific. This is what I want to tell to you, and of course you are going to be backing that up with pertinent information, and pertinent information which is accurate as well. Keep your letter concise and include only essential information. If you write a 7-page letter to me and try to talk about your company and the product and your history and your kind of all the archaic things, then I really don't have the time to really go through all the 7 pages. Be very brief. Structure the letter by placing the most important points first, followed by supporting details, and end with a goodwill statement. Of course, you might have seen lot many good letters being written, lot many mails being sent to you, lot many points being raised, and I think they are all trying to address the most important points first. Why? Because they wanted your specific attention should really be drawn and spent mostly on the important points, because that is where you are going to be making up your mind to go for this or not to go for that. Structuring a routine or good newsletters. How do you do that? Start with the most important points. I told you about that. Provide supporting details and with the goodwill statement. How do you avoid weak openings? Try not to get into unnecessary opening phrases and start with the main point. Now people have become more choosy, more discerning, more kind of looking for authenticity than just taking recourse to some kind of pretty nice, high-sounding opening phrases. Don't do it. Refer to the date of previous correspondence when needed. If there is a kind of correspondence which has already happened earlier, refer to that so that a link can really be established. Structuring refusals or bad news correspondence. What can be a direct approach? What can be an indirect approach? The direct approach to bad news correspondence is state the bad news simply and directly. I have made a mistake. Period. That's it. Admit it. Plain and simple. I have made a mistake. Don't try to beat about the bush. Provide a reason for your decision. Let's say you have said no to some kind of offer, no to some kind of request by someone else. You provide a reason. I have some other engagement. I have got some other kind of occupations. I am hard pressed for time for this time of the year. Close with a goodwill statement. For example, we have not been able to locate the quotation you requested. You may have better luck by looking the Times directory on the above subject. We hope your search is soon successful. You haven't offended anybody. You have told facts as they are, and you are closing with a very good, nice goodwill statement. That should be. Indirect approach. Begin with a neutral opening statement. That neutral opening statement really doesn't help anyone. Neutral statements are not going to be taking you anywhere. Provide reasons or circumstances leading to bad news. If you really cannot tell it as it is, state the bad news in as positive terms as possible. Offer a helpful suggestion or alternative. Close with a goodwill statement. What I basically want to tell you is that whether you go for direct approach or you go for indirect approach, the essence is the same, that you are trying to communicate about your lack of interest in the product or the service, or the lack of interest in the idea that has really been sent by someone else, and you are going to be saying yes or saying no. Saying no is very difficult, and because it is difficult, some people go and tell it on your face, very blunt and straight. Some people really try to avoid any kind of misunderstanding. They take the indirect route, but the end result is the same thing. Now, what is non-verbal communication in sales? Human feelings, emotions, and thoughts can be effectively conveyed through various non-verbal forms of communication. For example, we talked about facial expressions. A smile that conveys, of course, warmth, while a serious expression may suggest a more formal or a serious attitude. Can be. Different facial expressions convey acceptance, rejection, interest, or disinterested. If you are not interested, your face tells it. If you are interested, your face also tells it. If you accept, it shows in your face. If you reject, it can also be seen on your face. Gestures can be another thing. Hand gestures can convey various emotional responses, and the way hands are positioned against the face can change the meaning. I think people are going to be taking clue from the gestures and the facial expressions and the hand movements, and they are really going to be making up their mind very pretty quick regarding whether the response coming for me from the other person sitting in front of me is positive, negative, or neutral. For example, hands on the chin with pointing up may suggest critical comparison, while against the nose may convey reluctance, and against the lips may convey disbelief. I don't believe all these kind of things. So, as a salesperson, you have got to be very fluent in understanding that I not only have to go by the official communication that is being made to me, rather, I should really be more focused on trying to figure out what the non-verbal cues or the non-verbal gestures and postures and feedback through non-verbal cues really mean to me. And before I close, there is a part like telecommunication in sales, which is pretty important nowadays because often you feel that there is a telecaller sitting at the other end of the city trying to really make you a call, make you an offer. So this is what we have got to offer, and you have got to really make up your mind in pretty quick time. But there are certain telephone etiquettes in telesales which you all should really try and have a look at. And there can be a remote communication like synchronized communication, WebEx, Google Meet, Microsoft Teams, Zoom, all these things, or asynchronous communication like sharing your recorded videos, demonstrations, lectures for lateral viewing. So if you see all these, communication, whether it is remote or not, the point is everything is really directed towards one thing, that I just want to put the best foot forward so that my company, my product, my services gets the highest possible approval and the highest possible liking from my audiences. Thank you for being a very patient audience. Thank you for your time.